Last year, we invested $12.1 million into our companies at Contrarian Thinking Capital and Main Street Holding Company. This year, I think we're going to double, if not triple that. My idea has always been, let's not gatekeep. Why don't we allow more people to see on the inside? And that is what this investor letter is about, telling you guys what typically only people who give 7 or 8 figure checks can see. I hope this is helpful for you, and I hope you listen to the small little nuggets you can find from watching somebody else invest millions so you don't have to. Despite having millions of internet followers, it felt like our companies didn't sign up for that attention, so why drown them in it? For that reason, I've been largely private with what we own, what we buy, and who we are. Notoriety is tough. We humans barely remember compliments, but note every criticism. So at scale, fame actually feels like rapidly forgotten periods of congratulations buried under more and more criticisms. What CEO of a laundromat we own wants that? Yet, following the death of Charlie Munger, I went back and I reread every Berkshire Hathaway shareholder letter. It was beautiful to see the evolution of thinking among two of the greatest investors of our time. In some ways, Munger and Buffett were the original finance content creators. The shareholder letter was their newsletter, the annual meeting, their extended YouTube documentary, the sporadic interviews, their version of short-form videos or reels. Human survival has many enemies, but perhaps the largest is ourselves. They say that on the planet right now, there are an estimated 8.7 million species, and yet that number is dwarfed many times over by all the species that no longer exist, some 5 billion. Evolution can be beautiful, or it can be extinction. If our greatest enemy to progress is in the mirror, we should do all we can to know it. This letter is a review of what we did right and wrong this year in our portfolio, what we believe is to come, where we hope to go, and why it all matters on a tiny planet spinning in a giant universe. Here's a brief summary of our year. Contrarian Thinking Media and Capital has existed for about 3 years, and Main Street Holding Company, my holding company, has existed for 10. We're still a blink inside of a blink. Here's how I feel about where we're at. Optimistically discontent. I am optimistically discontent with where we're at today. We've moved fast, we've broken things, we've won, we've lost, and we've really just begun. So I find myself discontent with where we're at, yet eagerly looking forward to what we'll do next. In our Main Street Holding Company, we've invested $12.1 million, not including debt, into 5 acquisitions and 1 incubation. Across our holding company, there are now another 24 businesses, some owned outright, some owned just a portion. Across Contrarian Thinking Capital, our venture capital fund, we now have 17 companies in our portfolio. We recently bought a new office in Austin, Texas, made 14 full-time hires in 2023, and decided to swing for the fences. We had our first full-day educational event on small business acquisitions, with 13,000 people attending virtually, and saw around 150,000 people register for our free master classes throughout 2023. We held our annual Main Street over Wall Street Summit. This is our 3rd year of doing that, where business buyers come together in Austin and we create events all around the country for what I see as the next generation of owners. Now, I've actually stopped aspiring to build a $10 billion holding company. While we hope our holding company goes far beyond the hundreds of millions, I thought it'd be more interesting to see how many people I could help build multi-million-dollar businesses of their own. A nation of owners is a better one for all of us and our children. So perhaps what I'm most proud of is this. Our community members have self-reported $238 million in revenue bought this year, and hundreds of companies transitioned from one generation to the next. Oh, and our tiny little media company that someone once called cute, well, it's not so cute anymore, at over hundreds of millions of hours watched in 2024 and almost 6 million followers. What I'm most proud of here is that we did not raise millions to achieve this. We are the example we teach of bootstrapping with our own capital in a world that wants to get rich fast. I do not take this attention and trust lightly. I believe we are at the precipice in society between those who own, with skin in the game, and those who live forever renting under the yoke of others. We stand with this crazy idea that ownership is incredibly hard to achieve and yet worth it. So why do we do what we do? Main Street over Wall Street has been our cry for years. Not to diminish those on Wall Street, I was one of them, but to remind them that they serve the people, not the other way around. Just as those in Washington are purported to do the same. Our mission has always been to bring more humans into the fold of ownership and financial freedom. I am optimistically discontent that we're on the path to doing that. We have a creed at all of our companies, the Contrarian Creed. And every morning I give a short update to the team highlighting one of the 13 beliefs, because we aim to prevail despite luck. For this investor letter, I'd like to focus on our first one. People who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. These are the words we stand by, live by, and define what it means to be a contrarian. Be a great fucking human. Do what's right even when it hurts. How you do anything is how you do everything. Have you ever created a vision board? I sort of think of company cultures just like a vision board. It lays out for your humans what matters to you. What are your values? You can see our contrarian thinking creed, and maybe you can create one of your own, because first word in culture is cult, and you need a creed for that. So what are we investing in and buying? I've been buying and selling businesses for 10 plus years. I did it on the side. I did it with partners. I did it in funds. I did it poorly, and a few times I did it quite well. Our portfolio today exists because I was too scared to leave Wall Street entirely and acquire without a paycheck. Because of that, many of the companies that we had were still small. They're what I call my businesses as bonds, or gateway drug businesses. Small, beautiful little companies that likely won't grow into giants. These are the one-off laundromats, car washes, and service businesses that are critical to communities, but a monster to scale up. I can tell you that if you haven't ever tried to scale a laundromat to millions a year in revenue, you will not understand. But if you have, you'll know why it is a VC graveyard of companies who raised millions to try to brute force laundromat fragmentation into wash and fold consolidation. You don't know their names for a reason. Now, someone will eventually figure it out, but I tend to believe these tiny businesses are there as gateway drugs to business. They're not meant to be somebody's last acquisition, but they are an interesting first one, just as your first minimum wage job should not be your last. You learn by starting small and scaling up the size with your skills. So coming into 2024, we sold many of these businesses as we realized something. Our unfair advantage is no longer just staying small, meaning businesses sub 20 million in revenue. I know that's not always small, but that is the category. Now, we use our media attention to attract deals and our ability to use creative financing to acquire them without paying millions out of pocket. In the PE world, it's really been this vanity metric to talk about how much money you invest each year. So my not so secret is that I would like that number to be low. I like my investors to be few and my margins to be high. I'd much prefer to use the profits of the business to buy it than my bank account. Terms. They are the only thing that truly matters in deals. Now, our unfair advantage may also be accelerating fewer, bigger businesses with our media arm. In some ways, it pains me to say this, but I think there may be just as much to learn from The Rock, Kardashians, Ryan Reynolds, and Taylor Swift as from Buffett and Munger. Add this to the list of reasons why I'm not invited into normal investing circles. During the time of Buffett and Munger, they knew that getting rich slowly, having access to capital, understanding what is a good deal, and having the patience to only invest in those were the most important paths to wealth. Now, there's an additional paradigm: attention plus intention. In a world of abundance, the only scarcity is time. Attention is the offshoot of time. Thus, increasingly, at our scale, we are buying more of the first type of businesses below. Perhaps you'll see why. We buy really two types of businesses. Profile one is a media accelerated business. We are looking for companies we can accelerate with our media entity or businesses we can help operationalize with our systems and processes. What do these businesses have in common? Well, they're long-term, so 3 to 5 years of operating history. They're profitable, a minimum of $500K a year in annual profit, as high as $10 million. A high-quality team operator in place. This is negotiable if the business is in our wheelhouse and we have an operator to insert. We are open to owners sticking around, leaving, or transitioning out over time. These are simple internet SaaS service businesses that have high margins, but they don't require high CapEx or complex technology and can leverage our audience and formats to grow. For example, an accounting service, a dominant brand, a large and loyal community, a niche vertical, a media business, or a productized service business. Now, the second profile is what you've heard me speak about often: boring businesses. We will never stop believing that brick and mortar businesses, community businesses, and small businesses are the lifeblood of any country. That is why we buy those, due to the Lindy effect of them over time paying more and more often. Our deal box looks for consumer home services, professional services, real estate enhanced businesses, and product companies. We always have the view towards long-term, so 3 years of operating history, profitable to the same tune as before, and the same deal with the operator, either a team in place or we insert one of our own. Some of the examples there might be consumer services. So that could be a roofing, landscaping, pool cleaning, home cleaning company. Professional services, as in any business that provides a service that is usually accompanied by a unique skill set, certification, training, or specialty. These could be businesses like accounting, advertising, marketing, and legal services. Now, what types of businesses did Main Street Holding Company own this year? We own multiple types of businesses. We own agencies, we own brick and mortar companies, SaaS tools, services, finance, products, communities, and finally, media. I believe by and large that a business is a business. If you love the game of business, you can have just as much fun running a car wash roll-up as a dating app. In fact, there is nothing more beautiful than stepping up and touching the business you run in the real world. We certainly have found the right operators, business model, and market can be successful across multiple industries, but far from all. We do have an allergy to things like biotechnology, AI, Web3, and anything that stinks of too much Silicon Valley sexiness. I will let the Ivy League grads play in those spaces while we of Main Street do the things that I tend to believe will actually be really hard for robots to do. I think robots will come for your copywriting and design before they come for my plumbers and roofers. What do you do when things aren't in your deal box? Well, our structure is truly unique in this aspect, if you don't mind me saying so. When a business comes along that doesn't fit our deal box, we don't have to give the singular no, a terrible word for a potentially great business for sale. My philosophy is that there are far fewer bad businesses for sale than most people think. Simply bad structures, terms, prices, or wrong potential partners. We believe in passing on our deals to another set of potential buyers. With our contrarian community of 1,000+ business buyers, we are arguably one of the largest business buying groups in the country, larger than most M&A firms, brokerages, or banks in terms of number of buyers and deals we can compete on, maybe not at size, but in total number. To date, we have not done this nearly as effectively as I would like, but again, there is that optimistic discontent just out of reach. I hope that in 2024 we change that, and we're spending millions to try to, so stay tuned. Portfolio company support, partners, processes, and turnarounds. The thing no one will tell you about running a portfolio of businesses is that its true definition is that at any given time, something is almost guaranteed to be going wrong. This year, we had our mettle tested on 3 key fronts: partners, processes, and turnarounds. On the partner front, we grew so fast that a good decision one day quickly became a bad decision a few months down the road. One of my key realizations is that not everyone should actually get in on the fucking rocket ship when offered a seat. Not everyone wants to go to space. It's rather lovely, by the beach, playing in the sunshine, and wrapping up work without a worry at 5 p.m. I did a poor job this year of letting a few people in who never should have had a seat. This is a hard sentence to write. I didn't spend enough time putting a few of our partners through the harsh realities of the speed at which we sprint at Contrarian Thinking. Because of that, some simply weren't cutting it and made some very bad decisions trying to cover the fact that they were not the right fit. Even people bite when cornered. Now we have a process I call "it's worse than you think," which is how we run new partners and employees through our system. We tell them all the misery. We set incredibly high standards up front and surprise them when it's rather more fun than it sounds. When it comes to processes, we were short them. We have long operated as a glorified family office. Few rules, fewer systems and processes, and a lot left at the altar of someday. This year was a year of cleanups. Thankfully, my husband and our head of portfolio, Chris Peckus, came on board with his militaristic attention to detail, high pain threshold, and ability to lead. He was tested on just about all fronts, but has done a spectacular job cleaning up my messes and creating order out of chaos. Founders are a characteristically messy group, and I admit to that fault many times over. Putting in place a serious finance, accounting, and operations team has us building the foundation for 2024. We bought an office this year. It's devoid of fluorescent lights and drop ceilings. It's our contrarian home replete with an American flag that flew over a forward operating base in Iraq, my grandfather's federal justice drawing, and the newspaper on the day we were founded. But if I look into the future, I imagine we will outgrow it quickly. I'd like to do as another investor I admire, Brent Beshore, does, and just keep buying houses around our area of Austin, Texas. It seems to me there's a reason we don't want to go back to the way buildings were built before in the office space. I hope we make giant ripples without having to become the same type of giant. We've also started a series for our portfolio companies to opt into participation across the venture fund and holding company. This started with marketing and social media, but will expand across segments. I'm always reminded when we bring our founders and operators together that there is no lonelier job than sitting at the top. The year ahead. If the last year was the year of optimistic discontent, this year is the year of sending it. It's a military slang expression for firing the shot, which I think is apropos as in the next few months we'll have some big announcements of where we are sending it. It does feel a bit like that moment when you have your finger on the trigger and you nervously shoot down range hoping to hit your target. A tad shaky, a little clammy, and surprised by the gun's kick. Shots have recoil, which in business just means when you move forward you often get pushed back. I imagine in 2024 we will have that kind of year as well. Big shots fired juxtaposed against some recoil. Hopefully we hit our very, very big aggressive targets. The first rule of life, the best adapted survive. The second rule of life, competition drives adaptation. The third rule of life, your best competitors are just younger you. I actually don't fear the legacy investment firms. I maybe fear more the younger, smarter us who see around corners we haven't even reached yet. So as Jeff Bezos liked to say in his shareholder letters, it is always day one. To end, my husband has a line I love. You can't build community when you need it. So thank you for being here, for believing in us, in me. So many did not. I often wear their words like a badge of honor instead of a chip on my shoulder. But it's really all of you who I admire the most, the doers in a sea of talkers. I'm going to leave you with this, optimistically discontent. I did steal that from one of our team members. But I hope that you have a sentence or a word for what 2023 has been and what 2024 will be. Words mean things. And if you put them to a definition that's important to you, they might be even more powerful than those vision boards you see all over the internet. We've never done a series like this. In fact, I've never seen one. So comment below, what do you want to see in 2024 as we invest the next series of tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars? I want to answer your questions from the inside to you.